All right, guys, welcome back. We're going to do part 2 of our final project for marking period 6. Just to remind you, we're working on those common 6-point questions at the back of the Regents. We focused on the first part last week, and now we're going to talk about the second part. So I know it's been a minute, but when we were back in school, we first started graphing using our graphing calculators. Now, in order to graph something, it has to look a certain way. Your equation has to start with y equals. That's because in order to graph something, that's the button you push. So we've talked about graphing linear functions, the y equals mx plus b. Now, if you get an equation like this, it does not look like y equals mx plus b. Your y equals is right there, which is great, but that 2x is on the wrong side of that equal sign. So basically, I need to get positive 2x from the left side of the equal sign to the right side. So we're going to use inverse operations. So what's the opposite of positive 2x? Well, that would be negative 2x. So we're going to subtract 2x on both sides. We can then cancel out our opposites and simplify. Now, I did not touch y equals, so that comes down. Now, I actually can't combine 10 minus 2x. It's not 8x. They're just unlike terms, so they're going to come down separately. Now, just because this looks like mx and then plus b at the end, I'm going to bring these two terms down in this order. My negative 2x is going to go first, and then my 10, which is positive, is going to go at the end. So once it looks like y equals mx plus b, I can pretty easily see that my y-intercept, which is the number at the end, is positive 10, and my slope is negative 2, because it's next to x. So let's try this with a more complicated looking one. I want this to, again, look like y equals mx plus b. I see my y equals somewhere in there. I know my x is on the wrong side. So this x is positive. What's the opposite of positive x? Negative x. So I'm going to simplify by crossing out my opposites and bringing down everything I didn't touch. So I did not touch 2y, so that comes down. I didn't touch negative x, so that comes down, and that's a positive 4. Now, is y totally by itself? No. What's happening next to y? It's being multiplied by 2. The opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. So anything divided by itself we can just cancel out, and everything here I can either try to simplify it or bring it down. Either way, my y equals comes down. I can't really simplify negative x over 2. I don't know what x is, so I'm just going to bring this down the way it looks. And I can actually simplify 4 divided by 2. That's going to be plus 2. So now y is by itself. This is my mx, and that's my plus b. So it looks like that. Okay, so let's start this from the beginning. A little review from last week. So Franco bought 3 packages of cupcakes, 2 packages of brownies for $19. Blah, 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 blah. I want equations. So I see my keyword without even reading the whole question. Equations means 2 equal signs. Now I'm going to look for some totals. Do we see any totals in the question? Give you a hint. That first one is for Franco, total of 19. What's the other total? If you said 24 for Carol, you are correct. Now, how did we get to a total of 19? Well, Franco bought 3 packages of cupcakes. How can we represent 3 packages of cupcakes for this question? Now, read carefully. We might have to use a specific letter or variable. If you said 3x, because they specifically said let x equal the packages of cupcakes, you're correct. Next up, 2 packages of brownies. How can we represent that? If you said 2y, you are correct. And what would our expression for Carol be? Well, if you said 2x plus 4y, you are correct. Okay, so now we have our 2 equations here. They're going to ask you to graph these. So I'm going to take these 2 equations and make them look like y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to do this first one with you, and then I'll have you do the second one. All right, so I see my y equals right here. I got to move over this 3x. What's the opposite of positive 3x? That would be negative 3x. Both sides cancel out. Bring down everything you didn't touch. So I'm going to bring down 2y equals negative 3x plus 19. What's the opposite of multiplying by 2? Well, it's going to be dividing by 2. So everything gets divided. My 2's cancel. I bring down y equals. I bring down my fraction just how it is. And 19 divided by 2 is 8.5. So try this one on your own, and then we'll go over it. Okay, here's how you do it. I want to move positive 2x over by subtracting 2x on both sides. Cancel that out. Bring down 4y equals negative 2x plus 24. Divide everything by 4 and simplify that. Bring down y equals. Now there's two ways you could bring this down. You could bring this down as negative 2 over 4, or you could simplify that. It's the same thing as negative 1/2. And that's how you get these ready for the calculator. Okay, so let's try this again. So we have two equations here that we set up last week. I'll do the first one with you, and then I'll have you do the second one. So what should be our first step for this first equation? If you said subtract 3x, you're correct. Whatever you do on one side, do on the other. Simplify. Bring down your 2y. Bring down your negative 3x. Bring down your 170. To get y by itself, got to divide by 2. Whatever you do on one side, got to do on the other side. Those both get divided by 2. And what can we bring down? I'm going to bring down negative 3 over 2x, and then 170 divided by 2, you get 85. So I'm going to have you try this one on your own, and then we'll go over it. Okay, here's how you do this one. You're going to subtract 4x from both sides. You cancel out your opposites. Bring down 6y, negative 4x plus 360. Y is not by itself, it's being multiplied by 6. The opposite of multiplying by 6 is dividing by 6. So everything gets divided by 6. And you can bring that down as negative 4 over 6 or a negative 2 over 3x plus 60. And that is how you get equations ready to be graphed. So this is going to be what we do next week, actually graphing these. So do some practice questions, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to send me an email or a text on my Google number if you have any questions.